I want you guys to really think about this, okay? In the last year and a half, they've lost Candace Owens and Brett Cooper, two of probably the most talented, I would say, online personalities or whatever there are in the game. And they're both now flat out crushing it. What's up, world? Welcome back to Cancel Thoughts. It's your boy, Better Days here. Ladies and gentlemen, over the last year and a half, something weird has been going on at the Daily Wire. And very recently, we found out that one of their co-CEOs, which to me is a weird setup to have anyway, is stepping down and he's going to be focusing on creative endeavors and whatnot. And to me, it really started right around the time where Candace Owens left the Daily Wire and the controversy surrounding that. But I want to show you guys a quick clip from a guy named Ian Carroll kind of detailing the whole Jeremy Boring stepping down thing very quickly. But before we get into it, you guys already know I'm about to ask you guys to do me a solid and hit that like and subscribe button for more content. I'm trying to make sure as many people find this channel as possible, and the only way I'm gonna do that is with you guys' help.
The Daily Wire is going bankrupt, allegedly, and Jeremy Boring is officially out as CEO. That's right. The self-proclaimed God King of the Daily Wire is at the heart of so many scandals. And yes, he is self-described as the God King. And the email just went out today internally that he is stepping down, and now Axios is covering the story. It has not yet broken, as far as I'm aware, that private equity is moving in and looking to buy up the Daily Wire. I heard, rumor mill, that Silver Lake Capital is looking to buy them up. And yo, Silver Lake, you guys might want to watch this video before you think too hard about it, because there's a lot that is not in the public square right now. We're about to get into stuff like canceled credit cards, lying to the press, trying to trick Tim Pool. As far as I can tell from my sources, even people inside of the Daily Wire only know part of the story, and they're all kind of getting played against each other. It's a whole mess.
And I used to really be a fan of the Daily Wire about 2 years ago when they had Candace Owens there. They had Brett Cooper there. Jordan Peterson had just joined the platform. And I really used to love that they kind of were about free speech and just like having open discourse and whatnot. But
clearly I was wrong.
All of that really changed when Candace Owens took a position where she wasn't necessarily on the side of Israel and the whole Palestine thing, and I don't necessarily want to relitigate that or whatever. And they really kind of, at the beginning, they kind of let her speak or whatever, but as time kind of wore on, it became apparent to me, at least, that they had an issue with that position and that perspective, and they weren't really willing to debate her on it. So they kind of tried to either shut her up or they fired her or whatever. And now Candace Owens has gone on to bigger and better things. Candace Owens is now crushing it on YouTube. I mean, absolutely crushing it. And now Brett Cooper isn't even necessarily there either, and she left about, I want to say, a little less than 6 months ago now, and she's crushing it on YouTube as well. I think both of their platforms are honestly better than they've ever been, and it kind of just shows that you don't necessarily need a big company behind you to succeed. And I love what I'm seeing there, but I don't necessarily like, and I think this is the kind of the beginning of the end of the Daily Wire, I don't necessarily like the way they've kind of handled all of the things that they've been doing over the past couple of years, and I think a lot of people are also sharing that perspective with me.
And the most important part of this mess is that the Daily Wire has a long history of treating their employees like shit. And so I've had numerous sources inside the Daily Wire for quite some time because everyone hates them, even their own people. That's not to mention the numerous sources outside of the Daily Wire that did not take the NDA money on the way out. Like, I had people literally in my comments on Instagram offering to give me dirt on the Daily Wire because they hated the Daily Wire so much. It's out of control. And it all centers around the God King and his fucking massive ego and his lifelong desire to be a famous actor and make it in Hollywood, which he failed at originally years and years and years ago. And so once the Daily Wire was off the ground, he just couldn't help but try to turn the Daily Wire into a Hollywood movie studio and produce the Pendragon series. Note that this article is from 2023. And he said that he had dreamt of bringing this book to the screen for 25 years. It was due to stream exclusively on Daily Wire Plus in 2024. Why didn't that happen? That's a good question.
I mean, stuff like that usually happens. People always delay deadlines and whatnot, and things happen like that. So I don't necessarily want to read too much into that. What I do want to talk about is the whole element of the employees at the Daily Wire not necessarily liking working at the Daily Wire. And I would love for anybody to direct me to any kind of resources where I could find out what those employees have to say, because I don't necessarily know, obviously, what goes on behind the scenes at the Daily Wire. But I can kind of imagine from the hypocritical nature of how they handled the whole Candace Owens things that it it's probably not very good because
she didn't do anything wrong.
Candace Owens is one of my favorite people on the internet, guys. I don't see anything wrong in any of what she said about that. If people are being bombed to oblivion in a war, you cannot tell me that that everybody in there deserves to be bombed. I don't necessarily care where you fall on the whole side of the Israel-Palestine thing. I don't think any innocent people should be having to die because of the egos or the lack of just like being able to come to a compromise of people who have no inkling of trying to want to do that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. When you're whoever the leader is of Israel right now, I think his name is Benjamin Netanyahu, and then whoever the leader of Hamas is, and you guys are just completely okay with killing hundreds of thousands of innocent people on a regular basis, you can't tell any sane, normal person that that's okay. I don't necessarily get how, like, that's some sort of foreign concept for people to understand. And when Candace Owens came out and she articulated that, the Daily Wire took the opposite position, obviously, and that's why she no longer works there. And to me, that hurt you guys' brand a lot, because what you guys' entire platform was predicated upon was that you guys were cool with having open discourse. Facts don't care about your feelings, the whole Ben Shapiro thing. But when it came to this, you wanted to restrict people's speech. You wanted to call them anti-Semitic and whatnot. And a lot of people kind of noticed that you guys were hypocrites when it came to that. And it really, really didn't do well for you.
And that leads to us talking about all the Daily Wire's employees' credit cards getting frozen, allegedly. Just to first set the stage, though, producing a Hollywood movie is like a huge multi-million dollar undertaking. It is not the same as filming Ben Shapiro talking really fast at liberals. So I've actually been collecting information on this story for quite some time here. And now that it has officially broken in the news, I think my sources are a little safer to talk about this. Because they're portraying it as though Jeremy Boring is willingly stepping back to work on creative projects like the Pendragon cycle, and that he'll remain with the company in an advisory role. My sources are telling me that the Pendragon cycle is being moved off-site and out of the Daily Wire's physical purview because they're not letting Jeremy Boring back in the building right now, apparently. Jeremy Boring was 100% allegedly forced out, not a willing leave. And that's because this financial problem has been going on for years. They had recently had to table all projects and do a hiring freeze because there was no money in the bank. Allegedly.
No CEO was willingly stepping down, okay? This was obviously some sort of like corporate decision where they wanted him gone. And from what I've been hearing about it, a lot of people wanted him gone. A lot of people don't necessarily like that person. And listen, if I'm somebody like Matt Walsh, I would probably be looking to leave the Daily Wire as well. I think the Daily Wire is a dying brand right now, and especially since they lost Brett Cooper. I want you guys to really think about this, okay? In the last year and a half, they've lost Candace Owens and Brett Cooper, two of probably the most talented, I would say, online personalities or whatever there are in the game. And they're both now flat out crushing it. When Candace Owens left a year ago, her channel was at, I want to say, a little over 3 million subscribers. They didn't let her keep that channel because of some like contractual bullshit or whatever. But now her personal YouTube channel is grown and scaled to over 4 million. I think she just crossed that threshold a couple of months ago. Brett Cooper left less than 6 months ago. Her personal YouTube channel now is at over 1.4 million subs in less than 3 months from the last time I saw it. So the two of them are flat out crushing it. If you are the CEO or co-CEO or whatever you want to call it, again, that is a stupid setup, and I don't necessarily understand how a company can look to two different people. But if you're the co-CEO or whatever, you cannot lose talent like that at all and then have them go on to be crushing it on YouTube. It does not help you. And again, I'm going to say this for people like Matt Walsh, and I'm going to say this for people like Jordan Peterson as well. Ever since Jordan Peterson joined the Daily Wire, I don't think his brand is improved. I don't necessarily watch as much Jordan Peterson as I used to, and I think part of it is his association to the Daily Wire. Ever since he started like being in that circle, I don't necessarily like some of the stuff I'm hearing from him either, and I think he kind of has to pick a side or whatever. But if I was him, if I was Matt Walsh, I would be looking to leave that dying brand as soon as possible because it's really dragging you guys down more than it's helping you at this point.
All the way back in 2023, Jeremy and Ben Shapiro apparently had to put money into the Daily Wire, their own personal money, to rescue it. That money has not been reimbursed and it is all gone. The Pendragon cycle is over budget by like $50 million or something, allegedly. And at the end of 2024, this problem got so bad that Jeremy Boring apparently started lying to the press to try to drum up interest for a sale. This is when conveniently it leaked that Fox News was considering buying the Daily Wire, that was never in the works. That was just to try to drum up interest so that hopefully someone else would rescue their asses. I've heard that the Murdochs actually personally hate Jeremy Boring, allegedly, just like pretty much everyone else. Like even Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring, it sounds like there's a huge rift between them from what I'm hearing. There's even rumors that I can't confirm quite yet that Ben Shapiro hired his own PR person like months ago. Brett Cooper was basically like their last profitable endeavor right now. I assume they make a little bit off Matt Walsh, but I'm not quite sure and I can't confirm. Their election coverage during the 2024 election absolutely bombed. Sounds like just like most Daily Wire products, they dropped a shitload of money into production and did not nearly recoup the costs. So then you remember when Tim Pool was like kind of like rearranging his business and all sorts of weird stuff was happening?
I want to talk about the whole element of like running a business and running a company. And I obviously don't run a business. I've never ran a business and I don't run a company. But even in the small stuff that I'm starting to do with this YouTube channel, it is really, really hard to do. So when it comes to the Daily Wire being unprofitable and them losing money and whatnot, yes, obviously you want to make really good decisions, but I want to just have some sort of sympathy for the fact that, yo, it's probably really hard to manage personalities. It's really hard to manage the finances as well. And it's also doubly hard when you yourself are some sort of aspiring actor and you're trying to do that as well. So I want to have some sort of empathy for that. But again, I'm going to go back to this, yo. You cannot lose people like Brett Cooper. You cannot lose people like Candace Owens. You got to now be worried about losing a Matt Walsh because as he just said there, Brett Cooper was probably the biggest rising star and her demographic, which is a Gen Z demographic, those are some of the people consuming most of the conservative content out there right now. You as a platform, whatever money she wanted, whatever contract disputes you guys had, yo, you should have given her whatever she wanted to keep her at your platform. Right now, I'm pretty sure the comment section is a dead channel. Whatever the poor girl is who's trying to do the stuff right now is probably going through it because people hate her because they think she's a backstabber and she probably doesn't deserve it. But again, these are all managerial decisions that you should have never, ever made in the first place.
What's happening there? I don't even know if Tim knows this yet directly, but it sounds like the Daily Wire was trying to manipulate him into buying the Daily Wire and trying to present it as super profitable. The rumors I'm hearing is that Jeremy Boring thought Tim Pool would be dumb enough to fall for it, and he was the exact kind of guy they could sell to. I heard that they allegedly offered him an all-stock deal, which would be worth fucking shit because their stock is fucking worthless because they're bankrupt, allegedly. So props Tim for not taking that deal. That would have been a huge mistake. Because now my sources told me like a month or two ago that the Daily Wire froze all the credit cards of all the Daily Wire producers. And they were like pretending it was a new accounting system trying to cover up what was going on, allegedly. But it sounds like apparently that Jeremy Boring's entire net worth is a smokescreen and that he's trying to renegotiate contracts with people like the Petersons to try to leech as much money out as he can to just keep the books looking balanced. It sounds like Jordan Peterson, Michaela Peterson, their whole team has been really weirded out by this and is not stoked. I haven't talked to them directly, but it doesn't sound like they like him at all.
All right. I want y'all to pay attention to the fact that he continues saying allegedly here as well. And I want to say that as well because I don't necessarily know. None of us actually knows what's going on behind the scenes over there. We all have our speculations and whatnot. But some of that is kind of confirmed by the fact that this person is stepping down as the CEO. Again, nobody willingly steps down as the CEO of any company. The CEO is quite literally probably the most powerful person in the company outside of the shareholders or the board of directors or governors or whatever. When you start talking about the financials of the company and you guys freezing credit cards and whatnot of employees or whatever, where there's smoke, there's fire, guys. Again, all of this is alleged and whatnot, and we got to take everything with a grain of salt here, but some of it is making a lot of sense, especially when you kind of consider some of the talent that they've lost in the past. And you don't necessarily lose talented people like Brett Cooper if you guys aren't having money problems. You just pay someone like Brett Cooper whatever she wants because her value to your company is insurmountable.
So anyways, rumor is that Silver Lake is one of the primary private equity firms coming in looking to buy them up. And Ken, Mike, Egon, Greg, Joe, you might want to do a little more due diligence about the books before you make that purchase. Looks like your last investment, according to Wikipedia, was in 2022. This would not be a good way to come back onto the scene. That is just my opinion based upon what I'm hearing from the inside. Based on the chatter on the, shall we say, wire, it sounds like there's no money in the bank, so to speak, and they're not making profits. There's a difference between revenue and profits, and Jeremy has been doing a lot of finagling over the years to try to make it look really good. And realistically, do we even want the Daily Wire to be saved? Like opinion time? Don't we want to see Matt Walsh break out of the Daily Wire and do his own thing? And Matt, don't you think you'll do way better on your own than with the Daily Wire?
I would like to personally see Matt Walsh probably do his own personal thing as well, because I think he's a talented person. I think most of the people at the Daily Wire are talented people. Obviously, I think Matt Walsh, Jordan Peterson, they're talented people. Andrew Clavin, I don't necessarily know too much about, but what's his name? Michael Knowles is probably somebody who could also probably do something on his own as well. And obviously Ben Shapiro already does his own thing. He already has over 7 million subscribers on YouTube and whatnot, and he's talented. He talks fast and can argue things. I don't obviously agree with him on his whole Israel-Palestine thing. And listen, there are a ton of people at the Daily Wire, I think, that can find themselves independently and can obviously prosper because of it. But as a company and as a brand, I think the Daily Wire is dead. I think it's been dying for the last year and a half, and I just think this is the final nail in the coffin. And I think everybody over there should be looking to jump ship. And listen, I'm not wishing bad on the Daily Wire. I'm not wishing bad on a brand or whatever. I just think at the end of the day, some of the positions that you guys have taken over the past couple of years have not necessarily helped your case. And when you lose people, that's not a good look. Talent is very, very, very rare. And when you have talented people, you need to do everything in your power to keep those people no matter what. I'm going to leave it there, guys. I don't necessarily have any more thoughts on this, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about the entire Daily Wire situation. What do you guys think about people like Jordan Peterson and people like Michael Knowles and people like Matt Walsh continuing to stay with the Daily Wire if they choose to? And what do you guys think is behind the whole Jeremy Boring stepping down thing? Because I don't necessarily think that's anything that's voluntary in any way, shape, or form. But those are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me on this video. You guys could have been anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be here with me, and I really do appreciate you. If you liked what you heard today, do me a solid and like the video, share the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. Those things really do help out the channel a lot, guys. And if you didn't like what you heard, thanks for allowing me to occupy your time. Consider leaving a comment in the comments down below, letting me know exactly what it was that you disagreed with, and maybe we could talk about it. Either way, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for pressing play on this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.